we have problem here with the transmission, the connection drops, but we'll start again, okay? So as I talked before, today I'm Glaydston. I will talk about prototype and create a great product using prototypes, okay? And I'm Glaydston from Coodesh, and I have more 10 years experience in digital products. And today we will talk about what is prototype and why use prototype, create products, and the methodologies that we have to prototype the products and how the process works. Okay, and finish in the last part we will talk about the software for prototype and questions if anyone has. And what is prototype? Prototype is a simple process that we can use to uh, get idea and put in some replica of a product that you want using a result and from this process to create and we use a tools that don't need to code or using another thing, only to create using a pen or a digital software to put this idea in a product that we will do digital or physical. We can use prototype to the both sides because it's the last course that we have to validate idea too, that I will explain using the methodology today about how to prototype using the paper. It's the last course that we can use to create prototypes and low fidelity prototypes and the high fidelity prototypes. These three methodology is very common to create products from to digital, like mobile apps, web apps, or metaverse applications that you working today. And talking about more paper prototypes, it's like sounds, okay? It's only to use a paper and a pen to paint some screens and buttons that this is the idea that you have, and with this you can use this experience to validate with your user or your client, and it's the best way to start a product because we will get this idea from your mind and put this in a paper, okay? And with the paper, it's very good because we can create initial tasks to complete and validate with our users, as I say. So it's the best way to start. And the last methodology that we have, because we can create every screen in the paper, and we have only the cost from the paper and the pen and the coffees and your time in this case to create and put these ideas in this methodology. Okay, it's the first one. After that, we have another one. It's more digital. The loyal fidelity prototypes, we can use a software to create them. It's like a bar bonds version from the product. I like this name because we don't have image, but we have the elements putting in some parts from the code, how the screen we can see this interaction, and we can navigate into this version too, because we have a few layouts, we have the size of the screen that we use, and this prototype has a version that we can click and navigate between these screens in this part. The low fidelity prototype, it's using with a software to create that. So we need to use a UI design tools to create that, and it's very, very good to navigate with our user to understand if what we think it's very, very interesting when in the UX from the project it's good or not, or we need to remove or add there more buttons, explains. And in this part is very interesting too, because we don't have yet the real text from the platform. We can use Lorem Ipsum or a few images that then show the real version from the product in this case. So it's the second part from the prototype. We can use this to help contextualize the product during our studies with the users. With that, we have the high fidelity prototypes that we can get the paper and the low fidelity and put this with a version that we can show how the product we will get when we need to finish them. Okay. In this part, we have more interactions, animations. We can create navigation with animations between the screens, between the clicks on buttons. And in this part too, we need a UI design or a digital product to create them, because they need this part. And in this moment, we don't talk about using code right now. It's only moving elements and use tools like Figma and another one that I can talk about in the left. And in this part is very important to create the text the real text, because if you use lorem ipsum, it's not recommended, because when we put only sample texts, it's not the real interaction that the user will do. So in this part, we need to put products and if in this case here, I use a sample from e-commerce app. So we have an image from the product, the price, the name, and the actions in the menu. So the navigation, it's more explained during the process of the validation of the prototypes. So we pass through these three methods. We can start with paper, with in the beginnings. After that, we can take some validation with the users. After that, we can use a low fidelity, or jumps to the high fidelity prototypes, because is very similar low fidelity in the papers. And the different in this case is because when you use paper, we need to talk with our users or our customers more closely, because they need around of us. In the low fidelity, we can talk using the collaboration tools and send links or another tools that the client can access this prototype and see and put some comments from what they see, what the experience they have with the prototype in this case. So the another question that we have here is, why prototype? The prototype is an important part from the creation of the softwares and products. So prototype, it's help us to develop out the process to create a product in the future. So right now we are only talk about, we have idea, we are putting this in some tools to validate them. So when you prototype, or I prototype too, we avoid expenses reworks, because when we talk some validation with the users, it's in the first steps from the creation of the products. It's more easily to he work here after, then that we have the application already published, or we have the developer team create all this process and the designs. We have a lot of works to do when we have the product already go on or go live in this case. So prototype, it's the best way to avoid expenses, and it's very good to accelerate out the process from to go to market in this case. So why prototype? It's accelerate the go to market, if we create a process before to coding or release something. So when you create a prototype, we can split some parts from the product. So in the beginning, we have a big idea, but we need to split this idea in small parts of the product to create and get the core. So when we start prototype, we see the most important part, and we can validate with this with the user after to create the prototype and before to release the product, because the product, it's a finished version that you deliver to your user or your clients. So in this part, it's very, very important, because we avoid failures, because we missing some, like, I don't know if we need to put the search button, or don't put the search input in the screen. Oh, okay. A few users are more comfortable to use only testing in the put, but if you are working with another user that needs to see a button to search, it's very important to them. So when we validate a prototype, it's important, and avoid failures in the future. So, and it's very good. The another part that we have here is the improve the product adaptation. So when we prototype, it's more easily to understand how the user are engaging our product when you have the high fidelity prototype, because when you send this prototype to your user, you can see how they click in the screens using the softwares that you use to prototype. So in this part, we can interact with the user before release the product. And the another part that I have explained before is how we demonstrate the functionalities from the product. So we feel we have an idea and we don't start to coding yet. So we will create a prototype to show how the product, the platform, or the website will running or doing some functionality from that I think. And the another part that we have here, it's because it's more collaborative way to create a software, because when you prototype, all the tools that we use permit that we can share and talk between the management team, the stakeholders, and the product and the developer team to show how the products need to work. It's more easily in the future to the developers understand how to code the functionalities and the navigation between the screens and the buttons in the actions in the platform. So prototype help us to avoid expenses in reworks, and reducing costs and time between talks between the team, because they have the how we want the product. So in this case, they can only access the prototype and see how the behaviors that we have between the screens and the buttons in this case. And how works the process of the prototype. So the first step is identify a problem. So when we identify a problem, in this case, we can have this problem to work on it. And when we involve this problem and identify what they need, we can start discover and iterate in this problem. Okay, so when we have the problem, we can start discover and ideate this product to iterate on them, to make ideas more tangible that I talked before, because the prototype is to get the idea and put in a digital world or physical, and it's more tangible because the idea we have in our mind, the prototype not. We have some tangible things that we can show, experience how they work. So this part from the prototype, it's very good because help us a lot to understand, because we have the process to create a history with our product. It's another part that we have to work on, because when we have a product and idea, we need to create a history to tell our users how to use the product. And it's like a pitch in this case, because when you have the product, we need to sell them to the people and convince them to use, or show this is the problem that they have. So, and after that we have create all this, and we have all the history to validate with the client and present it to them, we need to test. And the prototype help to test and learn how the clients or users are using the product, and is the process that we do before creating a product and coding with all the team. So right now we only talk to prototype, and it's a small part from the creation of the product, but right now we validate with the client. So imagine that you release, we have we already have a product, but we will release a new function in the product, like Instagram. So maybe Instagram until don't have the stars, but they will validate with the client. So they create a prototype to this functionality, and after pass through during this workflow, they will validate with the client without create the coding and releasing the product. So they can validate before to release and get a few aspects that they need to improve. And about this, they can repeat and create this structured way to work on the product. And they help they to understand how it's working before to release the version. When they release the new functionality, they have a group of, or a target of group of users. They will get and will use this feature well, because they validate the problem and identify how improve this before to release. And how here we have some softwares that we use. Figma is the most common. The second one is Adobe. We have another one like Miro too, because they can help us to use some tools to create iframes or create the low fidelity prototypes. And they have some aspects that help us to put a few a few a few examples there, because they have the samples to mobile application or web applications. In your case, that you create a metaverse application, it's more new. So in this case, um, maybe you need to put some prototypes in a platform that use 3D or another concepts to create characters or a few details more easily. Because here I list on the platform that we can create websites or mobile, but Photoshop is very good to create 3D too. And uh, to metaverse, I don't know right now tools to help prototype to them, but it's here a few tools that we can use to prototype mobile applications or web applications. So, and the another part from the prototyping is helping us during this process, a creation of product. And it's like a task that we need to do before to release the product and validate all the process during the workflow. And the step that we design a prototype is very easily. We need to start or using the paper or the low fidelity prototype, as you prefer. And after that, we need to put the elements in the screen and create the interactions between the screens. And after to get the first version from the low fidelity, we need to pass pass through to the high fidelity, and we change the elements to image, real text, and create the navigations between the system and the animation to the elements in the platform. So it's more it's more interactive design. So in the last part, and we get advanced interactions with the users, and we can demonstrate all the idea that we have to the client. So it's a good way to use, and it's a good part to start, I think. Thank you for your time to watching. I don't know if anyone have a question here, but we have here some points to talk, if anyone has any question. Ah, já saiu já lá, né? É que eu tinha perguntado ao Felipe, ele falou que sim.